You know that kind of day when everything seems to go wrong? So it started with my laptop deciding to die right during exam week. Black screen, strange noise, and ... goodbye. No turning it back on. I tried everything. I removed the battery, blew on the cooler, even prayed to the saint of electronics, but nothing. And of course, right on the day of the biology presentation, that was worth half my grade. Desperate, I went to ask my mom for help. She was leaving for work and barely heard my plea. Grab mine then. It's on the shelf in my room. Just be careful. With my files, I just thanked her with a "Thanks, Mom," without thinking twice. My mom has always been very reserved. You know, that discreet person who goes to bed early, watches soap operas, and says, "Oh, how embarrassing," when she sees a kissing scene on TV. Yeah, super laid back. She works in remote support at a hospital and always told me the laptop was only for spreadsheets and emails. So, for me, there was no harm in using it. I grabbed her laptop, took it to my room, and sat down with the relief of someone who believes life is getting back on track. I turned it on, and while I waited for it to boot up, I started preparing my class materials. But then, things got weird. The home screen appeared with several icons I'd never seen before. Programs with strange names, duplicate folders, and a new wallpaper, not the flowery one she always used. It was a dark image with a mystical symbol in the middle. I thought it was strange, but I followed suit. That's when I opened the browser, and the world stopped making sense. I opened the browser to join the classes, Google Meet, but before I could even type anything, it suggested a bunch of websites in the recent history. And then the discomfort began. The first ones that appeared were kind of ... unusual, like Okla Dalua Secreta.net, Transmissionoide Trave, Live Furinternox Secure. I thought it might be a virus, or someone had used her computer. I don't know. But when I clicked on the address bar, I saw that the entire history was hers. The times matched my mother's routine. Everything accessed between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. practically every day. My mind started trying to find rational explanations. Maybe she was in some online prayer group. I don't know, those names could be metaphors, right? But then I clicked on the Downloads tab, and the list was even stranger. Files like Relato_FASE1.docx, Rotero_lose_AZUL_final.pdfcon, TATOS_valid.ados.zip. Nothing made sense. No typical work files, no spreadsheets, nothing about the hospital, not even family photos. It was all encrypted, mysterious, and a little dark. I stared at the screen, feeling that butterflies in my stomach of someone who knows they shouldn't continue but can't stop. I felt like I was about to discover something big and wrong. Class, I'd completely forgotten. Now, the only thing that mattered was understanding what exactly my mother did with that laptop when I went to sleep. I took a deep breath and clicked on the folder that seemed to be the most used project_full_moon. The project_full_moon folder seemed harmless at first glance, but when I opened it, I found subfolders named Phase 1, Recruitment, Scripts, and the one that made me most uncomfortable, Testimonials. I clicked on the last one. Inside, dozens of audio and text files, all named with dates and initials. 19_04_JS, 23_06_MF, and so on. I opened an audio file on impulse, and what I heard stopped me. It was my mother's voice. Last night's experience was intense. The entire group felt the presence. We had to end early, but contact was established. Clear signs, interfered electronics, altered temperature, and 2 reports of identical dreams. I paused immediately. My heart raced. What kind of experience was this? Presence? Contact? This wasn't holistic therapy or a late-night study group. It was something else, much more ... bizarre. Bizarre. I went back and opened a Word file, a descriptive text, like a diary, or report. In it, my mother detailed virtual encounters with others who seemed to be part of a secret community. There were descriptions of energy channeling sessions, symbol exchanges, and even reports on individuals deemed fit for the next level. I began to wonder if my mother was being manipulated by some online cult. Everything had a somewhat esoteric aesthetic mixed with technological jargon. There were mentions of secure infrastructure, transition codes, and something called The Gathering. In the scripts folder, there were PDFs with written speeches, like scripts for virtual meetings. One of them began, "Greetings, travelers of the Veil. Today, we cross another layer, ... I nearly threw the laptop out the window. At that point, my mind was already racing. What exactly was my mother doing at night? Was it a role-playing game? A digital cult? Some crazy literary project? Or something even stranger? I needed to find out more. But at the same time, each click made me more paranoid. I felt like an intruder, someone opening a door that should have remained locked. But it was too late to turn back. Looking at the screen, I noticed that one of the subfolders had a padlock, restricted_elite. When I clicked it, a window appeared asking for a password. Of course. But then I remembered something. My mother always used our deceased dog's name as a password for everything. I tried Zequinha123, and to my surprise, it worked. The folder opened, and there were the real contents. Videos, over 20, all named by date and time, always at night. I put on headphones, took a deep breath, and pressed play on the first one. The image shook a little, but I could clearly see my mother sitting in front of the camera. Only it wasn't her as I knew her. She was wearing a sort of dark robe with embroidered symbols. The ambient light was blue, and candles were lit in the background. She looked directly at the camera with a solemn expression and began speaking in a completely different tone. "Good evening, walkers. Today's broadcast will bring instructions for opening the third portal. Those who have already completed the audio sequence, prepare yourselves." It was surreal. She seemed to be leading something. She wasn't just a participant, she was the head of the group. The video continued with instructions that seemed like a mix of guided meditation, ritual, and ... coding. At one point, she said, "Send the generated codes to the secure channel. The gathering is near. The signal must be picked up until the lunar cycle is complete." I closed the video, my hands shaking. The second file was even more bizarre. It showed screenshots of messages on closed forums, people thanking my mother for opening their perceptions, saying they felt the contact, and asking to participate in the next phase. That's when it hit me. My mother was the leader of a secret online group, half cult, half digital spiritualist society. They met virtually. Every night followed their own doctrine and used coded languages too. I don't know. I only know that the woman who spent her nights watching soap operas and drinking chamomile tea was, in fact, a kind of digital mystical guide for a nighttime alternative cult at that moment. I closed my laptop slowly, as if it could hear me. I sat up in bed and stayed there, quiet, trying to understand who the woman who raised me was, and why. Until that day, I'd never noticed a thing. I stayed there for a time. I can't even begin to tell. 10 minutes, an hour. All I know is that the silence in my room seemed louder than any scream. I tried to rationalize. Maybe it was just a joke, an artistic project. Maybe my mother was just an experimental writer or did digital theater, ... But then I remembered the videos, the tone from the files, from the messages. No, this was real. She took it seriously, and she wasn't alone. I began mentally revisiting all the moments that now seemed suspicious. The nights she said she was too tired to talk, the days she slept in, the smile she gave her closed laptop as if hiding a secret. One side of me felt angry. How could she hide something so big from me? We lived in the same house. She always preached honesty, transparency, ... But another side felt something strange. Admiration, a kind of twisted pride. My mother had a hidden life, an intense, mysterious, even powerful life. She wasn't just mother. She was the leader of an entire group, an authority figure. People all over the world seemed to listen to her, follow her ... And here I was, thinking her biggest secret was hiding chocolate in the cupboard. The dilemma gnawed at me inside. Tell her I found out, confront her, or pretend nothing happened and carry this secret with me. If I told her, she might shut down, get offended, pull away, or worsened, invite me to join in. I didn't know which of those options scared me more. That night, I didn't sleep. I tossed and turned, thinking about everything I'd seen. The image of my mother in that robe, speaking so firmly, haunted me. At the same time, it fascinated me. It was as if I'd met a version of her that had always existed, but lived in another dimension, a digital, symbolic one, inaccessible to me. The next morning, I went down to breakfast, as if nothing had happened. She was in the kitchen, wearing an apron, softly singing a song from the radio. She offered me bread and egg and asked if I wanted a banana smoothie. I could only stare at her, trying to find traces of the spiritual leader. But there was only ... my mother. The same one who scolded me when I left the wet towel on the bed. The same one who cried watching reruns of the 6 o'clock soap opera. So I made my decision. I didn't tell. I remained silent. I buried everything in the back of my mind and returned the laptop to its original location. I deleted the history I'd opened. I closed all the folders, and I promised myself I'd never go through her things again. Not because I wanted to protect her secret, but because I now knew the weight it carried. And, honestly, I wasn't sure I really wanted to find out more. Since then, every night I pass her bedroom door and see the blue light flickering beneath the crack. I just walk straight ahead, pretending I didn't see it, pretending I didn't know. These days, I still live with my mother. Routine is back to normal, or at least it feels normal. The difference is that now, every time she says goodnight and closes the bedroom door, I know it's just the beginning of her real shift, and I never look at that laptop the same way again. The truth is, everyone has secrets. Some are silly, others are so well guarded that they live right under our roof, behind a simple password like ZEQUINHA123 ... So, I ask you, do you really know who lives with you?